of a deeper existence.
Are you there, David?
Maybe a temporary reassurance that indeed there is no beginning, no end.
Telling his story and singing it
Find
too.
yourself.
It's as if David Bowie has come back to life to narrate the movie Moonage Daydream, a vivid collage of the music, art and ideas that make up his extraordinary legacy.
Hi, I'm Brett Morgen, director of Moonage Daydream, the David Bowie immersive IMAX experience, and you're watching France 24.
The filmmaker Brett Morgen spent years sifting through endless audio and film archives. The result is an innovative sensorial portrait of a man with many faces.
I'm an alligator. I'm a mama papa calling for you. I'm the space invader. I'll be a rock and roller bitch for you.
Brett Morgen, hello. Could you describe the film for people who haven't seen it?
Moonage Daydream is a immersive, sort of psychedelic trip through David Bowie's imagination and creative outpouring.
You've made films about Jane Goodall, about the Rolling Stones, Kurt Cobain. David Bowie is a massive one-off legend. You had more than 5 million archive assets. It sounds like a super daunting project to me. Was it?
Yes and no. Going through the material felt like floating in heaven for 2 years. I mean, it was like going to work 14 hours a day to just watch Bowie was one of the great experiences and joys of my life. Trying to create an experience, not in a traditional biographical sense, but something otherworldly, was a bit difficult to kind of crack.
Why did you want to do it like that?
I am interested in making films that aren't so much about my subjects, but films that tend to personify, invite the audience to experience the subject. I'm very aware that there are 29 books about David Bowie, and none of them give me a better understanding of him than listening to one of his songs. So the idea of immersing one in the artist's own sort of point of view is something that very exciting to me.
And how about the shoes? Are those men's shoes or women's shoes or bisexual shoes? They're shoes, silly.
Tell us about something you discovered amongst all this archive material that totally blew you away.
Honestly, I knew David was incredibly creative and artistic. What I had no awareness of going into it was how sage he was and how his philosophy towards living would inspire and kind of impact the choices I will make moving forward. That and the fact that he was committed to everything he did. If he was doing an interview, he didn't talk down to whoever he was speaking with. He viewed each moment as an opportunity for an exchange. It's beyond refreshing and a wonderful takeaway of just learning how to commit and be in the moment and not be planning for tomorrow, but how can we make the most of today?
It sounds like a life-changing experience for you, and I read that you actually had a heart attack during the making of it. What impact did that have on the film?
It came at a perfect time. It came right when I was beginning to listen to his interviews, and I was trying to figure out how to reclaim my life and to create more harmony and balance because I was a bit out of control, which led to the heart attack. And suddenly, I'm listening to David sort of providing me with a roadmap for how to lead a more balanced and successful life in this age of chaos and fragmentation. And I realized there was an opportunity to create something much more than just a musical experience.
Go on then, tell us, what is the secret to having a more balanced life in this age, if you found it?
I think it's about making each day an adventure and putting yourself in situations and environments that are uncomfortable, because those are the situations and environments where we grow. Human nature and human instinct is to wrap a blanket around us. But David's evolution, he just was able to have this appreciation for that from the word go. There was something I came across, a song he did when he was 19 called Signet Committee. And in the song, David sings towards the end, I want to live, I want to live, I want to live. And the first day I was on the job, his producer, Tony Visconti, played me the stems and isolated it. And David was sobbing and wailing as he was singing this. And it sounded like someone who had loved their life, but their time had run out. But he was only 19. He had that appreciation and zest from the very beginning.
Let's talk about the music then. You called it Moonage Daydream. There was so much music to choose from. How did you decide on the title and which music to include?
You know, I don't know what a Moonage Daydream is, but it evokes something warm and vibrant and kaleidoscopic and something that I want to go wrap myself in and immerse myself in. So given the choice of seeing Moonage Daydream in a cinema or David Bowie, The Life of a Legend, I'm more interested in seeing Moonage Daydream.
We get a glimpse of the incredible effect that David Bowie had on his fans. What was it about him, do you think, that made people connect with him so much?
David understood from the very beginning the power of inviting the audience to participate. And because he didn't reveal so much about himself, he invited us to project and fill in the blanks. And that's why everyone kind of has their own Bowie. But ultimately, what is being refracted back to us is ourselves. So most of us get a deeper understanding of who we are from listening to Bowie, not who David Bowie is, but who we are, and it's very unique.
He had so many personas, like Ziggy Stardust, Aladdin Sane, Halloween Jack, the Thin White Duke, the Soul Man, the Blind Prophet. Very few people knew the real David Robert Jones. You actually met him in 2007. What was he like?
He was very present. That was my takeaway, that he was like locked into everything that was being said and responsive to it. Quite disarming. There was nothing intimidating about him other than his intelligence, which was incredibly intimidating going into a film. And that, in a way, was, I think, the most intimidating thing, not, oh, he's David Bowie. I did the Rolling Stones, I did Kurt Cobain, I worked on Jane Goodall. Going into Bowie, I felt like an intellectual midget, and he's a polymath. He's so well-learned, and that was a little intimidating. Because I'm a method director, I like to inhabit the characters in every way, shape, or form, but you can't sort of cheat years of learned education.
And he was blurring gender boundaries some 50 years ago. How do you see his legacy today when the word queer has become much more mainstream?
You know, for generations, Bowie was the flag bearer, and I think when he came out, was very interested in playing that role. I think later in his life, he was a bit annoyed that it was such a big part of his mystique. But I think, like all things Bowie, he was so far ahead of his time that we're just coming into it now. And so things that he embraced, gender fluidity and transience, and how to embrace chaos and fragmentation, as you know, we're living in this world, and so many of us have so much anxiety and we don't know why. David, I think, really spoke to that and created a soundtrack for this moment in time that we're living through.
Do you think he has a successor today? Like, who would replace David Bowie now? Who's doing the same sort of stuff?
I don't know of an artist who's willing to risk their fame, their fortune, with every creative project the way that David was. I think that it is absolutely unique. It is audacious, it is courageous, and I don't think there's another one around like that.
What do you think he would have thought of your film?
It's not something I entertain too much because it's too abstract to go there, so I'm not sure.
Okay. Brett Morgen, thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.